You just asked your dog how their day was, out loud, in full sentences, and they tilted their head like they were actually considering their answer. Or maybe you narrated your entire morning routine to your cat. Okay, now we're making coffee. Yes, I know you want breakfast. Hold on, Your Majesty. Or perhaps you've apologized, genuinely apologized to your pet for leaving them alone, explained where you were going, promised you'd be back soon, maybe even felt guilty when you couldn't keep that promise. And at some point, someone caught you doing this. A roommate, a partner, a guest, and they looked at you like you'd lost your mind. But here's what they don't understand. You're not crazy, you're not lonely, and you're definitely not the only one. This isn't about being a quirky pet owner. This is psychology. This is neuroscience. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why talking to your pet is one of the smartest, healthiest things you do. Let me paint a picture of your life. You come home after a long day. The door opens, and before you've even set your bag down, you're already talking. Hi, baby. Did you miss me? I missed you so much. Were you good today? Of course you were good. You're always good. And this isn't baby talk you reserve for special occasions. This is your default communication style with your pet. Full conversations, complete thoughts, genuine emotional exchanges. You might ask your dog questions like you expect answers. Do you want to go outside? Do you? Is that what you want? And somehow, their body language is an answer, one you understand perfectly. You might tell your cat about your problems, real problems, work stress, relationship drama, existential dread. And they sit there, blinking slowly, and you feel genuinely heard. Maybe more heard than you feel with most humans. You've definitely had moments where you're mid-conversation with your pet and realize a window is open. The neighbors might have heard you negotiating with a guinea pig about vegetable preferences, and you briefly wonder what they think of you, but not enough to stop. You use different voices for different contexts. The excited greeting voice, the gentle comfort voice, the stern we don't chew shoes voice, the apologetic I'm so sorry I have to leave again voice. Your pet knows all of them. You might narrate your pet's thoughts out loud, giving them a voice, a personality, complete opinions about things. Mom, I simply cannot believe you're eating that without sharing. The audacity. And somehow, this feels less like imagination and more like translation. Here's what nobody talks about. Sometimes you tell your pet things you haven't told anyone else. Secrets, fears, the things you're ashamed of. Because they won't judge. They won't tell anyone. They'll just be there, warm and present, accepting whatever version of you shows up. You've cried to your pet, really cried, and they responded. Maybe they licked your tears. Maybe they pressed closer. Maybe they just stayed, and that staying meant everything. You might feel slightly embarrassed about how much you talk to them. You've caught yourself thinking, am I weird for this? You've Googled it, searched, is it normal to talk to your pet at midnight? Looking for validation, looking for permission to keep doing what you were always going to keep doing anyway. And maybe you've noticed something else. The people who mock you for talking to your pet, they often seem less connected, less expressive, less emotionally intelligent. And you've wondered if maybe, just maybe, they're the ones missing something. Here's the truth. You're not alone. Studies suggest that the vast majority of pet owners talk to their animals. But more importantly, you're not doing something meaningless. You're doing something deeply psychologically significant. And it's time you understood why. Here's what's actually happening when you talk to your pet. First, let's address the obvious question. Do they understand you? The answer is more complex and more beautiful than a simple yes or no. Research from Eidos Lorand University in Hungary used fMRI scans to study dogs' brains while they listened to human speech. What they found was remarkable. Dogs process language using the same brain regions humans do. The left hemisphere handles word meaning. The right hemisphere processes intonation and emotional tone. Your dog isn't just hearing sounds, they're interpreting communication. They understand vocabulary. Some dogs recognize over 1,000 words, and they absolutely understand tone, the praise voice, the worried voice, the "you're in trouble" voice. They know. Cats, while more mysterious, also respond to human speech. Research published in Animal Cognition found that cats recognize their owners' voices and respond differently to them compared to strangers' voices. They may not come running like dogs do, but they're listening. They know it's you. So, when you talk to your pet, you're not shouting into a void. You're engaging in genuine interspecies communication. One-sided in vocabulary, yes, but two-sided in understanding. But here's where it gets deeper. The act of talking out loud to another living being has profound effects on your brain. When you verbalize thoughts, you engage your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for organizing, planning, and making sense of complex information. Speaking out loud literally helps you think more clearly. It's why talking through problems helps solve them. It's why therapists ask you to articulate feelings instead of just feeling them. Your pet becomes what psychologists call an active listener. They're present, they're attentive, they're not interrupting or planning their response. They're just receiving. And that simple act of being received, it creates psychological safety. This is why you tell your pet things you don't tell humans. There's no fear of judgment, no risk of rejection, no possibility that your words will be used against you later. The social threat that exists in human communication, the constant low-level anxiety about how you'll be perceived, vanishes when you're talking to your pet. And here's what's happening neurochemically. When you engage in positive verbal interaction with your pet, praising them, expressing affection, narrating your connection, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. The same chemical that floods parents when they talk to infants, the same one that strengthens romantic attachments. But here's the remarkable part. Your pet's brain releases oxytocin too. When you speak to them in warm, affectionate tones, their stress levels drop and their bonding hormones rise. The conversation isn't just meaningful to you, it's meaningful to them. You're not imagining the connection, it's biochemically real. Now let's talk about why some people talk to pets more than others. Attachment theory offers insight here. If you grew up in an environment where emotional expression was risky, where sharing feelings led to dismissal, criticism, or punishment, you may have learned to keep things inside. Human relationships became associated with emotional danger. But pets, they were different. They were safe. And for many people, they became the only audience for genuine emotional expression. This isn't dysfunction. This is adaptation. You found a way to maintain your capacity for emotional expression even when humans made that expression unsafe. Your pet became your practice space for vulnerability. There's another factor. Many people who talk extensively to pets are highly verbal processors. They think by talking. They understand by explaining. Silence doesn't clarify things for them. Speech does. If this is you, having a pet to talk to isn't indulgence. It's cognitive necessity. You need a listener to organize your thoughts, and a non-judgmental, always available, infinitely patient listener, that's not weird, that's ideal. And finally, there's the element of social modeling. When you talk to your pet, you often model healthy communication. You express affection freely, you set boundaries clearly, you apologize when you've made mistakes, you use your words to repair ruptures. In some ways, your relationship with your pet is a rehearsal for emotional intelligence. You're practicing being the kind of communicator you want to be, or perhaps the kind of communicator others wish they had been with you. This is neuroscience, not nonsense.
Now let's explore how this psychology manifests in your daily life, because these patterns don't stay contained, they ripple through everything. 1. You have elaborate conversational rituals with your pet. Morning greetings, goodnight routines, coming home celebrations. These aren't random. They're structured interactions that create predictability and connection. You've developed a communication culture with your pet, complete with inside jokes and recurring themes, and it matters to you. 2. You feel more articulate with your pet than in some human conversations. With your pet, words flow. You don't second-guess yourself.
You don't edit mid-sentence. You don't worry about being misunderstood. But with certain humans, everything feels stilted, careful, exhausting. Your pet gets the real you. Not everyone does. 3. You've given your pet a full personality through narration. You don't just talk to them, you talk for them. You've decided they have opinions about specific topics, political views maybe, judgments about your life choices definitely. And somehow voicing their perspective has become a way of voicing parts of yourself you might otherwise suppress. 4. You process major decisions by explaining them to your pet. Should you take that job? Leave that relationship? Move to a new city? You've talked through life choices with an animal who cannot possibly offer advice, and somehow the act of explaining helped you find your own answer. They're your sounding board, your thinking partner. 5. You find it easier to express love verbally to your pet than to people. I love you flows easily when you're talking to your dog. With humans, it might get stuck. You might overthink it, worry about how it'll land. But your pet, they get unlimited verbal affection. And this reveals something. You have the capacity. The barrier isn't ability, it's safety. 6. Your pet knows things about your emotional state that humans don't, because you tell them. You don't filter. You don't perform "I'm fine" for your pet. You say out loud, "I'm really struggling today." And just saying it, having a witness, even a nonverbal one, provides release. 7. You've noticed your mood improves after talking to your pet. This isn't placebo. Verbal expression to a non-judgmental listener genuinely regulates emotions. You're not imagining the relief, the lightness, the clarity. You're experiencing the documented psychological benefits of externalized processing. 8. You sometimes prefer your pet's company because talking to them is restorative, not draining. Human conversation can be exhausting. The social performance, the reading of subtle cues, the managing of impressions. But talking to your pet, it's all output, no anxiety. You leave the interaction feeling more energized, not less. 9. You use your pet as a bridge for difficult conversations. Sometimes you'll say things to your pet in front of others. Tell daddy we're upset with him. Tell mommy she needs to calm down. It's humorous, but it's also strategic. Your pet becomes a safe channel for expressing things that feel too direct to say face to face. 10. You've developed different registers for your pet talk. There's the high-pitched excited voice, the low soothing voice, the instructional voice, the silly voice. You adjust tone and vocabulary based on context and emotion. This is sophisticated communication, proof that you're not randomly babbling, you're attuning. 11. You feel genuine disappointment when your pet doesn't respond as expected. Sometimes you're talking and they just walk away, and there's a flash of something. Rejection? Disappointment? It passes quickly, but it's real. Because this relationship matters. Their attention means something to you. 12. You often greet or say goodbye to your pet longer than you do to humans. Your pet gets a full ceremony. Humans might get a quick wave, because with your pet, there's no social pressure to be brief. You can take your time. You can say everything you feel, and you do.
Here's where we flip the script. Because everything I've described, it's not evidence that something's wrong with you, it's evidence that something's profoundly right. Talking to your pet reveals that you have an unusually high capacity for emotional expression. You're not someone who bottles things up. You're not disconnected from your inner world. You have feelings. And you have words for those feelings, and you have the instinct to share them. That's emotional intelligence. It reveals that you understand communication isn't just about exchanging information, it's about connection. You talk to your pet because talking bonds you, because words are how you build relationships, because presence alone isn't enough. You want to engage, to interact, to actively love out loud. It reveals that you know how to create safe spaces for yourself. If humans haven't always been safe, you didn't shut down, you adapted. You found an audience who wouldn't hurt you, and you kept practicing expression, kept developing that muscle. That's resilience, not regression. It reveals you're likely highly intuitive about nonverbal communication. Because here's the thing, you're not just talking at your pet, you're reading their responses, the ear positions, the tail movements, the eye contact. You've developed fluency in a language without words. That's a skill. That translates to human interactions, reading rooms, sensing moods, understanding what's not being said. And here's what nobody talks about. People who talk to pets are often better communicators with humans over time because you've practiced, you've rehearsed vulnerability, you've experimented with expressing love, setting boundaries, apologizing, encouraging. Your pet has been your safe laboratory for developing skills that eventually benefit every relationship in your life. You're not avoiding human connection by talking to animals, you're training for it. And perhaps most importantly, talking to your pet reveals that you haven't let the world harden you. You still have softness, still have silliness, still have the capacity to engage in something joyful and pure and completely unconcerned with how it looks to outsiders. In a world that constantly pressures us to be cool, detached, and self-conscious, you've preserved something precious, the ability to love openly, without irony, without apology. That's not weakness. That's courage. Let's confront the myths, because you've probably internalized some of them. Myth: talking to pets is childish or immature. Truth: verbal expression to non-human companions is documented across every human culture in history. It's not a developmental phase to outgrow, it's a fundamental human behavior. Research shows adults who talk to pets often have higher emotional intelligence, not lower. You're not being childish, you're being human. Myth: your pet doesn't understand you, so it's pointless. Truth: first, they understand more than you think. Tone, keywords, emotional states. Second, the psychological benefits occur in you, regardless of comprehension. You're regulating your emotions, clarifying your thoughts, and strengthening your bond. It's not pointless, it's therapeutic. Myth: people who talk to pets excessively are socially isolated or awkward. Truth: many highly social people talk to their pets constantly. It's not either or. You can be excellent with humans and love conversing with animals. Often the comfort with animal communication reflects, not replaces, social skill. Myth: it's embarrassing and you should stop doing it in front of others. Why? Says who? The only people who find it embarrassing are those disconnected from their own emotional expression. Their discomfort is about them, not about you. You don't need to dim your light because it makes others aware of their shadows. Myth: you're anthropomorphizing and projecting human traits onto animals. Truth: modern science increasingly recognizes animal cognition, emotion, and even consciousness. You're not projecting, you're perceiving. The outdated view that animals are unfeeling automatons has been thoroughly debunked. Trust your observations. Myth: you should save that emotional energy for humans. Truth: emotional energy isn't a finite resource that depletes. Love generates love. Expression builds capacity for expression. Talking to your pet doesn't take something away from human relationships, it adds to your overall emotional bandwidth.
If this video has resonated with you, here are some insights to carry forward. First, embrace this part of yourself fully. Stop monitoring. Stop editing. Stop worrying about how it looks. Talking to your pet is good for you, good for them, and good for your relationship. Let yourself be unabashedly, enthusiastically verbal with your animal. Second, notice what you tell your pet that you don't tell humans. This is valuable information. Those are your hidden truths, the things that need expression but feel unsafe elsewhere. Perhaps, over time, you can work on creating human relationships where those truths can also be spoken. Third, consider that your pet has been teaching you how to express love, how to be present, how to communicate without agenda. These lessons are transferable. Let them transfer. Fourth, if human communication feels disproportionately hard, explore why. Therapy can help unpack the experiences that made human expression feel dangerous. Your pet was a wonderful safe haven, but you might deserve that safety with people too. Fifth, use pet talk as a barometer for your emotional state. Notice what you say, how you say it, what themes emerge. Your monologues to your pet often reveal what's actually happening in your psyche. Pay attention. Your words contain wisdom. Sixth, let others see this part of you. Not everyone will get it, but the ones who do, those are your people. Hiding your pet communication style hides a real part of who you are. Let it be visible. Let it be a filter for connection. So let's come back to where we started. You talk to your pet. Full conversations, real emotions, complete vulnerability. And somewhere along the way, you wondered if that was weird, if something was wrong with you, if you should be embarrassed. Here's what I need you to understand. You are not weird. You are emotionally intelligent. You found a relationship where your words are safe, where your feelings have a witness, where your love can flow without fear. And that relationship has been teaching you, training you, healing you, perhaps more than you've realized. Your pet has heard things no human has heard. They've been present for moments no one else witnessed. They've absorbed your words with perfect patience, perfect acceptance, perfect love. And in return, you've given them something equally precious, a human who sees them, talks to them, treats them as worthy of real communication. That's not crazy. That's sacred. You're not broken. You're not strange. You're not too much. You're someone who knows how to love out loud, and the world needs more people like you. If any of this felt like your story, if you've ever wondered whether your conversations with your pet meant something, leave a comment. Tell me what you talked to them about. Tell me their name, because this video was for you, and so are they.